Hello, beautiful beings. Welcome to Soul Shift Messages. If you found your way here, trust there's something in this message for you. Understand this space is about growth, truth, and transformation. We don't bypass here, we don't sugarcoat, and not every message will feel comfortable, but it will be honest. I speak in flow, and that sometimes includes cussing. It's just part of how the messages come through. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and trust your own discernment above all else. Take a deep breath, and let's begin. So first off, surprise! It's actually got visual in this one. I just heard, did you miss me? So I don't know if someone missed me. I missed you, babies, but I'm okay. I feel like anything in my being that cannot go into this next chapter is being forcibly purged out of me. So I am tired. I set the intention to be able to have the energy to deliver this message the way it needs to be. So if my energy seems a little off, I'm okay. I'm just tired. But I was asked to deliver this message today. And I was told it was very important to embody this message. So even though I am tired, and frankly, my hair just doesn't know what the fuck to do with these warmer temperatures right now, I decided to honor that and show up to the best of my abilities. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm not going to be on camera for all the videos. I'm going to actually record the 3-part series, well, part 1 of 3 after this, and that'll just be an audio only. But again, was asked to deliver this message specifically and to embody it by showing up and being on camera. So here I am. So let's go ahead and get into this message before I really crap out as far as energy goes. So this is not part of a series. This is a standalone, and it is called You Don't Have to Be Perfect to Move Forward. So the overall message: you do not need to be perfect to move forward. But right now, you are treating perfection as a requirement for safety, readiness, worthiness, and even identity. That belief is not only inaccurate, it is learned, reinforced over time, and now operating automatically as a closed loop system that prevents forward movement while convincing you it is necessary. So what's really happening beneath the surface? There is a dominant mental loop. This is overthinking instead of acting, second guessing instead of committing, planning without movement. But more precisely, this manifests as a start-stop cycle. A spark appears, action begins, hesitation interrupts, and the process resets. That's the loop, all right? This creates interrupted action, effort without, This creates interrupted action, all right? It creates interrupted action, and that becomes effort without sustained momentum. And this is no longer neutral. All right. Each repetition of this loop increases doubt faster, makes restarting heavier, and reduces confidence. This is compounding resistance. I'm hearing some of you have been feeling very uncomfortable lately. It's this. It's this. It's the compounding resistance. And they're saying they say this with love, but don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself on this. It is compounding resistance. And the more you stay in that loop, the more you compound that resistance. Some of you want to hit the release valve. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to like it, but I'm not really here for that. So I work here. I deliver these messages. How you receive them, baby, that's on you. All right. Momentum is available, but not trusted. There are repeated windows where support appears. Things align. Movement could flow. Momentum is actually trying to build for you, but it gets cut off. You cut it off. Not because it isn't there, but because it's not trusted when it appears. I'm also hearing for some of you, this doesn't come the way you expect it to. It doesn't look like momentum to you. We're going to correct that too. Distortion between reality and perception. There is a consistent split that's occurring. Progress, support, and small wins exist. Focus remains on what's missing. So the narrative becomes, it's not ready yet, even when movement has already begun. At the same time, hypothetical problems are prioritized. Future mistakes are pre-solved. Energy is spent on imagined scenarios instead of lived experience. We're really moving into a time where if you don't embody, and I'm just hearing move shit, it is not going to count. It is just not going to count. All right, why perfectionism feels necessary. And I have battled this beast, and I'm telling you, you can beat it. You can, because I used to be super perfectionist, and now, like, I swear I went from being super perfectionist to damn near being allergic to that shit. So why perfectionism feels necessary. Perfectionism here is multi-layered protection. It protects against judgment, comparison, failure, inefficiency, wasted effort, and visibility during growth. There is also strong influence from external standards. This is comparison loops, unrealistic expectations, feeling behind. Underneath, there is a core rule of I must get it right the first time. Sorry, I just heard bullshit. Sorry, I feel like I interrupted that. Underneath is a core rule. I must get it right the first time. This rejects iteration, trial and error, and learning through doing. Baby, some things just need to be experienced. That's the only way you can figure out if you're moving in the right direction or not. At the same time, discomfort is misinterpreted. All right. Uncertainty feels like misalignment. Vulnerability feels like danger. When in reality, both signal growth in motion. At this point, if I don't feel uncertain or I don't feel vulnerable when I'm taking action, to be honest, I usually check myself. I'm hearing the statement, they don't want me to say there's no comfort, but it's very hard to find comfort when you are in a growth cycle. And if there is like they don't even want me to say the second part. They said focus on that. So it's very hard to find comfort and certainty in a growth cycle. And if you're watching this, you in a growth cycle. I'm hearing we're all in a growth cycle. Control versus movement. This is not just perfectionism, it's control. There is an attempt to control outcomes, perception, timing, execution. But movement requires uncertainty, imperfection, adjustment. So control is restricting participation. I don't know why, but they want me to bring this up. They want you to really think about a moment in your life. I'm hearing, look at a time in your life where you took a risk and it worked out. Because, that's where they want you to focus. It's not all the shit that could go wrong. Think about when you did that and things went right. They really want you to change that mindset. A lot of you, it feels like, are looking at the glass is half empty and they're like, okay, but it's actually half full. It's just your perception of what you're looking at. I'm hearing high risk, high reward. For some of you, you feel that way. They're saying that's not necessarily the case. Again, it comes down to perception. What you may, from your point of view, what may look like high risk, to them, they're like, no, if you just take that leap, if you just start moving in that direction, support will be there. No one's asking you to do this perfectly. Only one who feels that way is you. So they're saying release yourself from that. Because they said that's not actually, that ain't doing shit for you. You're already seeing how that's working out for you. So they're like, just fucking leave it and try something else. Just see what happens. Alrighty, back to it. Identity, visibility, and exposure. This pattern is tied to identity, the desire to be seen as capable, avoidance of being seen while learning. This creates hesitation around visibility, leadership, and being witnessed mid-process. The block is not just action. It is being seen in evolution. There is also resistance to visible effort and behind the scenes process. A preference exists to appear already there, whatever that means. All right, but the internal contradiction. Two forces are active right now. One is I need to move forward, and the other is I'm not ready yet. Both feel true. That's the contradiction you feel. Together, they create looping tension, exhaustion, and inaction. And they want you to bust through that. The standard that keeps moving. Even with progress, goalposts shift. Requirements expand. Almost ready resets. Perfection is not reachable. It is a moving filter preventing completion. All right, perfection is not reachable. It is a moving filter preventing completion. The addiction to almost. All right. And they're saying this is a critical layer. It feels like some of you may realize you have this addiction to almost, and some of you are going to have your aha moment. All right. The system has become comfortable with preparing, refining, and approaching readiness, but not actually finishing any of it. You do all the work and stop, right? Start, stop. That's the cycle. Almost ready feels safer because it avoids exposure, avoids evaluation, and avoids finality. So there is an unconscious pull to remain there. And that is really what you want to break. That unconscious shit running in the background is, think of it like autopilot. You're at the point where you're just doing that automatically. You're not even thinking about it. And that's why I need to deliver this message. You need to understand this, pull this into your conscious mind so that you have a chance of actually recognizing you're doing it. And when you're actually doing it, clock that shit and stop. Break that cycle. You are more than capable. All right, completion and consistency feel unsafe. This is not just starting that is resisted. There is resistance to finishing, releasing, and sustaining effort, because completion brings visibility, judgment, and responsibility. Once you act, you have to own your actions. That's just the nature of acting. Consistency brings identity. If I continue this, it becomes who I am. And that weight is being avoided. I'm hearing some of you are I'm hearing the mask is getting heavy. And the mask is you're trying to act like everything's fine when shit is, I'm hearing falling apart, up in flames, crumbling down in the background. Like, avoiding that weight isn't going to remove it. The only thing that's going to remove that weight is action at this point. All right, the role of not enough. Feeling underprepared is central, but misused. Instead of initiating action, it delays it. This sounds like, I need more time. I need more skill. There is also a fear of wasting effort and inefficiency. But the truth is, not enough is not a barrier. It is the entry point. Simplicity is being rejected. Simple actions are dismissed as too small, too easy, not meaningful. So complexity is created, but complexity is a buffer. Some of you are really making shit more complex than it needs to be. And again, it's because complexity is a buffer you're using to avoid action. And I say that with love. We've all been there. We've all been there. All right. Simplicity creates exposure and therefore is resisted. The complexity keeps you safe. It keeps you in what you're used to, what you're unconsciously functioning in. But again, just because it's comfortable doesn't mean that's where you should stay. The mind versus experience gap. There is an over-reliance on prediction, pre-solving, mental rehearsal. This creates a disconnect. Why? Because intention exists. Direction exists. But action does not follow. The issue is not knowledge, it is embodiment. Take the action. Time, distortion, and pressure. Time is experienced as I'm behind. I should be further along. And this creates urgency, but not effective urgency. Urgency for urgency's sake, I'm hearing, is not your friend. It is not your friend. Pressure increases perfectionism, which slows movement. Some of you just need to get your, some of you just need to get your Nike on. Just do it. Just do something. Nonlinear progress is misread as failure. There is an expectation of linear growth, consistent results, but real movement is uneven. And when it isn't linear, it is interpreted as failure. Oh, okay. They just want me to, just in case someone does not understand linear growth, I'm not gonna assume they want me to make sure I close that gap. So linear growth is basically things just move in one direction, you know, and when you talk about linear growth, think of it like a graph, right? You got your axis and then it just moves like this. That is not how this works. And to me, that's just a fact. I don't know anyone who's been through a growth cycle and been like, yeah, it just only got better. It only got better. Nope, that shit looks weird on a graph. It just doesn't work that way. It would be great if we had linear growth and consistent results, but it's not. It's just not. So that's why that's actually how I got rid of perfectionism. I just realized I was like, this shit does nothing for me, not one thing. So decided, and to be honest, I personally like roller coasters, so I was like, fuck it, why don't I just not physically on this ride, but why not just give it a whirl, because it's fucking me over anyway. So let's just try to embrace it for what it is and see if we can turn around into something positive at some point. So, all right, emotional misidentification. Temporary states become identity. So the temporary state is I feel unready. And some of you are identifying with I am unready. And that is not the case. I heard you are unwilling at this time, but you're not unready. That's funny. Sorry, they're very like they're serious, but they're very jokey. So listen, if you don't think you'll get guidance that doesn't roast you, you'd be surprised. My team is damn near giving me energetic third degree burns from time to time. So, and they say that with love, but they also meant what they said. So, all right. This reinforces hesitation, all right? Seeing these temporary states and making them your identity, that reinforces the hesitation. Avoidance of irreversible action. Steps that feel final, public, and committed are delayed. Reversible actions feel safer, but irreversible actions create movement. I'm hearing they are the only thing that create movement. No exceptions. Relief is postponed indefinitely. There is a belief once this is right, I'll feel better. But right never arrives. So relief is never released, which again just compounds over and over and over again. That's why it's postponed indefinitely. All right? Relief only comes through action, taking those irreversible actions. That's the only way that you get relief. Even if it's imperfect, you'd be surprised how taking imperfect action can help you feel better. Let me grab some water. All right. Fear is maintained, not reduced. Avoidance increases pressure. Delay increases weight. Inaction increases significance. Your fear grows over time. All right. That's why I'm just here, and this is why they want you to understand you're using the fear to hold you back. But the fear is exactly what you need to push through. At this point, the fear growing over time in this energy just building within you is actually worse. I'm hearing it's worse than the outcome of you just taking action. And I'm hearing some of you are not going to believe that. And they're saying they stand by what they said. Sometimes you just gotta go through things. And then when you get to the other side, like you just look back and that's when that clicks. You know, there were times when I had to do things that I didn't want to do. And I got to the other side and it was like, woo, shit, you know, didn't love that. But it was like, you know what, that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And that's the type of situation. Some of you, again, if you choose to take action, like you're going to have that moment too. Not necessarily with everything, because I can't guarantee outcomes for you. But some of you are definitely going to have moments like, damn, I just made that so much bigger in my head and it just wasn't that bad. I'm hearing give it a whirl. All right, there is frustration and grief beneath the surface. There is accumulating frustration with self, awareness of missed momentum, quiet grief over lost opportunities, This adds emotional weight to future attempts. Some of you are making this a lot harder than it needs to be. And there is understanding and compassion as to why you're doing this. But again, a lot of you, because you're just in this loop, as long as you're in this loop, there is no relief here. There is no release. There's nothing. It's just constant buildup of this shit. Constant buildup. They really want me to emphasize that. As long as you're doing this, all of this shit's just going to compound. You're not going to feel better. It's when you break that and come out of it that something will happen. But again, you're still just doing this unconsciously. Some of you are more conscious of it than you think, but as long as you're unwilling to get your ass out of there, this is just your reality. And they're letting you know it's your choice. Self-trust has eroded. Repeated cycles of start, stop, create doubt. This is, will I actually follow through? The block is no longer about just getting into motion, all right? It's about believing you can remain in motion without abandoning yourself midway. You gotta get out of the planning and into the execution. Actually do it. Sustain that. Follow through. The fact that you just keep doing this cycle is why your self-trust is eroding and why you're having a harder time getting yourself out. You need to restore evidence that you can continue imperfectly, that you can stay even when it gets uncomfortable. You don't need to reset every time it's not ideal. I'm hearing it is not going to be ideal. And anytime I've personally had to act, it was not ideal, but it was necessary. All right? Self-trust doesn't come from starting strong. It comes from not leaving yourself when things stop being perfect. Over-reliance on internal readiness. There's a perceived requirement to feel confident and certain before acting. But these are actually the result of acting. You only gain confidence and certainty when you act. They're not prerequisites. They're the results of action. Delay disguised as preparation. Thinking feels productive. Refining feels like progress. But movement is not happening. Which again, you're just standing still. You're just looping. There's looping, even though it looks like motion, it isn't. Because you're not actually going anywhere. You're just right here. They're showing, instead of this, like think about someone just literally walking in a circle, right? They're not actually going anywhere. There's no actual movement, even though it looks like movement. Like their ass is still right where they left it. Fear of true capacity. Taking consistent action would actually reveal your actual capability. And this may challenge identity, remove excuses, and require expansion. So potential is protected over reality. Capacity, not clarity, is the real edge. You already know enough. Some of you have heard me say that several times now. You already know enough. The challenge is tolerating imperfection, incompletion, visibility, sustained effort. The system is self-reinforcing. Each loop justifies hesitation, reinforces perfectionism, validates delay. The system literally sustains itself, and that is why you need to take it down. What's actually at risk? It is not failure. Failure is not at risk. It's stagnation, missed momentum, and unlived potential. Some of you know you're playing small. And while I don't usually use this word, I'm going to honor what I'm hearing. I'm hearing some of you really hate yourselves for it. And to that, I would say, growth is not always easy. And I will always advocate that you be the best friend you possibly can be to yourself while you're going through this. Anytime I beat myself up while I was going through this, it did me no favors. None whatsoever. So my advice is try to be kind to yourself as much as you possibly can. Be honest, hold yourself accountable, but try to be kind where you can, all right? Even when I was having hard times and I wasn't doing my best, I used to remind myself I'm doing the best that I can under the current circumstances, and I can always, try something different. Honestly, I do a lot of versions of the pasta test where you chuck that shit against the wall and see if it sticks. So that's just kind of how I do shit now. So if at first you don't succeed, try again. Eventually I will figure something out. All right, redefining progress. Progress is happening, but dismissed because it is small, inconsistent, and imperfect. And they want to be very clear. You need to redefine progress because that's the path. All right? Small, inconsistent, and imperfect progress. That is the path forward now. Things working out perfectly is an illusion that can keep you stuck for as long as you're willing to entertain it. Life isn't perfect. Circumstances aren't perfect. It just is not how it works. Even though things work smoother for me now, shit ain't perfect. It's not perfect. The core shift. Perfectionism once protected you. Now it just restricts you. It keeps you controlled, hidden, and static. That's that stagnation, that keeping you small. You are overestimating how ready you need to be and underestimating the power of starting as you are. You do not gain confidence before action. You gain it through action. You do not become qualified before beginning. Beginning creates qualification. You are not being asked to eliminate fear, uncertainty, discomfort, inefficiency, or vulnerability. You're not being asked to eliminate any of it. You are being asked to stop requiring their absence. I'm hearing act anyway. All right? They are not obstacles. They are part of the process. The deepest truth, you don't feel stuck because you cannot move forward. You feel stuck because the conditions you require to move forward cannot be met. They cannot be met. The system avoids completion. The mind replaces action. Almost replaces reality. And beneath it all, you are not only avoiding imperfection, you are avoiding the reality that begins once you truly start. Because once you begin, it becomes real. It becomes visible. It requires continuation. It reveals your capacity. And there is no longer a place to stay hidden in preparation. The closing message, there is nothing missing. No final readiness is coming. No perfect state will arrive first. There is only this: move while incomplete. Continue while uncomfortable. Allow visibility before perfection. Act without guarantee. Even if you think you have a guarantee, that is an illusion. There is no genuine guaranteed outcome. Life is sometimes unpredictable. Shit comes out of left field and we just cope. Act without guarantee. Because everything you are waiting for, the clarity, the confidence, the trust, and the alignment exists on the other side of movement. And only movement. You do not need to be perfect to move forward. At this point, you are only being asked to move forward. All right, that feels complete to me. So I'm going to close this out. Again, this is a standalone message. It's not going to be part of a 3-part series. So I am going to bring this to a close, get off of here, grab some food, get a little rest, and I will be back later tonight to post part 1 of this week's series. And again, that will be audio only. So it was good to see you, babies. Sending you a lot of luck and really all the bravery. You can do this, babies. All right, until next time, take care of yourselves, beautiful beings. Bye.